Hi everyone, just a quick update on the Sergei Skripal poisoning case, which I've been covering quite in depth actually. I'll leave a link above to a playlist with all the videos in for anybody who wants to catch up on it. But today, the member states of the OPCW, the Organisation for Prevention of Chemical Weapons, are meeting in The Hague in Holland to discuss the matter. And it's a closed meeting. However, there have been certain tweets and tidbits come out from some of the members within that meeting, and chief among which is Britain's representative to the OPCW, who's in that meeting, Peter Wilson, or Ambassador Peter Wilson, to give him his full name. Now, he said identifying the nerve agent is an essential part of the investigation. But of course, while the identification of the nerve agent used is an essential piece of technical evidence in our investigation, neither DSTL's analysis nor the OPCW's report identifies the country or laboratory of origin of the agent used in this attack. Now remember, Boris Johnson said it was Russia. The Foreign and Commonwealth Office said it was Russia and then deleted the tweet that they said it in. They said categorically it was Russia. And then all the other times it was of a type developed by Russia. Now, every time, it's worth noting this, every time that they have said of a type developed by Russia, that's a lie. Wouldn't be the first lie they've made, but it's a lie. Every single time they said it, it wasn't of a type developed in Russia. Novichok was developed in the Soviet Union, as I have said, time after time after time after time. Every time they say it, they are lying. Now, Wilson also pawned scorn on Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov's revelation that the OPCW lab in Switzerland had identified BZ as the toxin that poisoned the Skripals, not Novichok. And he said this: the thing for me that was particularly alarming about Lavrov's statement is, first of all, the OPCW goes to enormous lengths to make sure that the identity of the laboratories is confidential. And second of all, either the Russians are hacking the laboratories or they are making stuff up. Either way, this is a violation of the confidentiality of the Chemical Weapons Convention. Right, okay. The UK with MI6 and the US with their intelligence services have no moral ground to be pointing fingers at other countries for hacking stuff. We do it every single day. Every day. Now, the OPCW Director General, Amit Azumku, I think I'm pronouncing his name right, in that meeting, has also told the people there in the Netherlands, at The Hague, of the organisation's Executive Council that a BZ precursor known as 3Q was contained in the control sample prepared by the OPCW lab in accordance with the existing quality control procedures. Went on to add, it has nothing to do with the samples collected by the OPCW in Salisbury. So what he's saying is there's a precursor that's used in BZ that we added to send off to the laboratories. I don't know whether that's just as a preservative or something like that. That's what they're saying the reasons behind it are. Now remember, in a summary of its report last week, the OPCW did not name Novichok as the nerve agent. It only confirmed that the findings of the United Kingdom laboratory in Porton Down were correct. So it confirmed the finding. To be exact, it confirmed the findings of the United Kingdom relating to the identity of the toxic chemical that was used in Salisbury. So all they will say is, yeah, Porton Down were right. Now, I don't like that at all. I don't know whether that's protocol or what. I would much prefer having an independent lab testing it and giving their results and then comparing both results. That should be the way it's done, in my opinion. It shouldn't be just, yeah, we confirm what they said is true. It shouldn't be that. Now, Wilson, the representative from Britain again, said in the meeting that we believe that only Russia had the technical means, operational experience and motive to target Skripals. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 words in that sentence and 3 lies. 17 words and 3 lies. Donald Trump would be proud of that. We know that the formula is widely available online and has been since 2008, when the guy who developed it published the book on Amazon. You can still buy it today. We also know that while you need technical abilities to be able to do this, you or I wouldn't be able to make it up in the garage or something like that. You would need an expert to do it, but it could be done. You wouldn't need a state actor to actually produce this. Craig Murray has confirmed that, and other experts have confirmed it. You wouldn't need a state actor. And even them saying that Russia, we believe that only Russia had the technical means, that's rubbish. UK has, the US has, Israel has, about 12 NATO countries could do it. So that is a lie. Operation experience, wrong again. These NATO labs have lots of experience in chemical weapons testing, not just Russia. And then the last part of it, the motive to target the Skripals. What motive? What motive? I'm sorry if I'm going over old ground here for anybody who's seen my videos on this matter, but what motive? Sergei Skripal was a general in the Russian forces who in 2004 was found guilty of supplying the British with information of all the Russian spies that were operating in Europe. He was sentenced in 2006, 2 years later, spent 4 years in prison before finally being released on a spy swap deal with the UK and the US. He came to live in Salisbury in England. He's been there 8 years. He's been living under his own name. He's been living quite free and open. If the Russians wanted to off him, to disappear him, they had 6 years to do it in, even before he came to Britain. And then they've had 8 years of him not saying anything about Russia or being in the public eye at all and not annoying Russia with any of his actions. What motive? There is no motive for him to kill Skripals. None. Now, considering Novichok is 5 to 8 times more powerful than VX gas. Now, just to give you some clarification, VX gas is a 3rd generation nerve agent. Novichok is a 4th generation nerve agent. It's much more powerful. And we know how fast VX will kill somebody, because that's what killed Kim Jong-un's brother in that airport. Do you remember how fast that killed him? It was minutes, wasn't it? So how fast would Novichok take if it killed Kim Jong-un's brother in minutes? Novichoks were designed to be more toxic than other chemical weapons, so some versions would begin to take effect rapidly, in the order of 30 seconds to 2 minutes. Now, again, remember, it says there's some versions. So the fastest versions would have been the high-grade ones. And remember, the OPCW and Porton-Down have confirmed it was high-grade. It was high-purity military grade. So this is top of the top. This is the most potent stuff there is. The Skripals, which they're still saying at the moment they got it from the door on the house. The Skripals left the house, got in the car, drove to Sainsbury's, got out, I think shopped in Sainsbury's, then went from there to the pub, had some drinks in the pub, from the pub walked to the restaurant, had a meal at the restaurant, and then walked from the restaurant to the park before being found by the policeman. Does that sound like high purity military grade nerve agent, fourth generation nerve agent to you? And then the other question I've got really is, how did the hospital that they were taken to, how did they identify it was Novichok so quickly? How did they identify it so quickly? And one of the questions that the Russians are asking is what antidote was giving them. Now, I've done some research online, and for a lot of nerve agents, including Novichok, atropine is an antidote to it, and atropine is kept widely in NHS hospitals in the UK. However, this is what Stephen Davis, who is a consultant on emergency medicine for the Salisbury NHS Foundation Trust, which runs the Salisbury District Hospital where the Skripals went, this is what he said in a letter last month to the Times. I can't believe that, well, I can believe it actually. None of the mainstream media in this country have been reporting on this letter from Stephen Davis. He says this, and I'll put the letter up on the screen so you know I'm not BSing. May I clarify that no patients have experienced symptoms of a nerve agent poisoning in Salisbury, and there have only ever been 3 patients with significant poisoning. Now, obviously, only ever 3 patients with significant poisoning. 2 of those would be Sergei and Yulia Skripal, but the first sentence there is key. May I clarify, no patients have experienced symptoms of nerve agent poisoning in Salisbury. That's a guy who runs the hospital. Just gets weirder and weirder and weirder. But so if they were walking around all day long and they've gone to the pub and they've gone to the restaurant and hours have gone by, would the poisoning of BZ, which is non-lethal toxic, would that explain the symptoms? Would that explain the extended time? Just listen to this. According to the Handbook of Toxicology and Chemical Warfare, it takes about 1 hour for the agent to begin to take effect, with peak effect reached 8 to 10 hours after. That sounds like it fits to me. I'm no expert. Well, I probably know more about it than most after studying it for so much over the last few weeks. Now, this is what the Sergei Lavrov said was found from that Swiss laboratory, the Swiss OPCW laboratory. So what have they said about this? Have they made a statement? Well, they sort of have made a statement, but all they've said is this. Andreas Bucher, who is the laboratory's strategy and communication said this: we cannot have any statement on that as to what, whether it was BZ or not. We are contractually bound to the excuse me, OPCW for confidentiality. So the only institution that could confirm what Mr. Lavrov was saying is the OPCW. We cannot confirm or deny anything. This just stinks. It really does. So what do you think? Seriously, tell me in the comments, what do you think? Am I going nuts here? I don't think I am. What are your theories as to what this was? Because none of it makes sense at all to me. None of it. There was no motive to kill Sergei Skripal. And if they really wanted to kill him, they could have offed him years ago. There's no proof that Russia were behind it. None at all. They've admitted. There's no proof. There was the rush to judgment to blame Russia for it. They came out the day after and said it was Russia. With absolute, it was a type developed in Russia. It boggles the mind how they could do it that much. The Skripals didn't die. Now, I'm glad they didn't die. Don't get me wrong. I am glad they didn't die. But they didn't die. Novichok would almost certainly have killed them. Why did Boris Johnson lie? Why did he lie and say that Porton Down had said that they had samples of the Novichok from Russia? Why did he lie and say that? Why did he lie and say he asked the head guy at Porton Down whether he was sure, and he said that the head guy had said yes, 100%, categorically? Why did the Foreign and Commonwealth Office also lie and say it was Russia and then delete the tweet afterwards? And why? And this is the question. It's been bugging me for about 3 weeks, this question has. And I haven't mentioned it in any other videos so far because I can't find a connection, but it's just bugging me. Why is it Hillary Clinton, when she was Secretary of State in 2008, just after the book was published by the guy who developed it, who is now living in America, why did Hillary Clinton order diplomats to suppress any talk about Novichok? I'll put a a WikiLeaks document on the screen that proves it. Why is it? What is it with this woman and her husband? Whenever something like this happens, whenever there's some sort of thing that is obviously lies and a conspiracy and a cover-up, why is it her name is mentioned? It doesn't matter where it is in the world. It's either her name or her husband's. They've got their fingers in so much dodgy stuff. It's unbelievable. And my last question is, why does this just look like one big cover-up? Just look at this timeline from the other week when the guy from Porton Down came out and made that statement, which was obviously stage managed by the government. On the Wednesday, he came out and said, he never said it was Russian. All he could say it was Novichok and it was high grade and it was military grade. The next day, the government get asked about it and say, oh, it wasn't just that, we've got evidence. There's other evidence as well. Well, what evidence? Oh, it's secret. Well, isn't that convenient? The same day as they said that, the Russian authorities asked about Skripal's pets, and the phone call between Yulia Skripal and her cousin was aired on Russian TV. And on the Friday, the next day after, having known this for weeks, the government say, oh, well, the one of the cats escaped, one had to be put down, and the two guinea pigs starved to death. Well, what about her dad? In the phone call between Yulia and her cousin, she said that dad's fine and he's resting now. And the next day, the government come out and say, oh yeah, Sergei Skripal is rapidly improving. The reason this looks like a cover-up, in my opinion, is because it is. It's a giant cover-up of a type developed in Britain. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you liked it. I'll keep you up to date on this story. I can only assume it's going to run for weeks and weeks and weeks. And I really hope we get to the bottom of it and get to the truth, because what we've heard so far is not even close to the truth. Please subscribe, please click the bell, because otherwise you won't see any more videos of mine. If you want to be updated on this story, YouTube will hide the video. They have admitted that they're doing it. You must click the bell. If you can support me, please, there's a Patreon link and a PayPal link down below. I cannot do this without your support, and I appreciate every dollar that anybody can spare. Thanks very much for watching. Until next time, peace and take care.